Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today I want to talk a little bit about the Thunder game from last night. If you haven't noticed, I'm a Thunder fan, so I wanted to go over that a little bit, and I also wanted to talk a little bit about James Harden. He had an incredible game last night against the Trailblazers, so I wanted to go over his performance last night. Um, but I'm going to start with the Thunder game. It was very weird trying to figure out if the Thunder were going to go full tank. Some of the lineups that uh, new head coach Mark Daigneault put out there did look like tanking lineups, but I think he used the three guys like Shea, Dort, and Bazley are kind of like big three for the future pretty well. I loved how aggressive everyone was. Shea looked like he was fully ready to take on that like franchise player role. Darius Bazley looked super aggressive, even though his three-point shot kind of struggled. Honestly, all the Thunder, other than George Hill, struggled with their three-point shot last night, so I'm expecting that to get better because even with those struggles, the Thunder still were very, very good offensively. That starting unit with George Hill, Shea, Dort, Bazley, and Horford looked really, really good. Mike Muscala played some great backup center minutes. Like I said, George Hill, he could not miss a shot if he tried to. So I think that the Thunder may, if he keeps playing like this, the Thunder might be able to flip him for a pretty decent asset at the trade deadline, or at least that's the hope as a Thunder fan. And I'm sure Sam Presti would love to get an asset for him. He'd be huge for a contender. But outside of them, Dort played great defense. I don't think I've talked about him yet. He also looked really aggressive. He looked like a freight train going downhill. I was really happy with what I saw. And then, of course, the Thunder at the end, everyone was making jokes about the Thunder trying to tank at the end. Miles Bridges hit like three threes. The Thunder were up around like 10, like I think it was 9 or 10 with like a minute left, and the Hornets ended up tying it somehow because Shea missed some free throws. He had a turnover. He did struggle down the stretch, but none of it mattered in the end because he hit the game-winning pull-up jumper from just inside the three-point line. Super cold. I went insane, as he is my favorite player for my favorite team. So it was great to see that. I know some people are like, "Oh, but we're supposed to be tanking," but these big moments, like these wins where you end up closing the game out and you don't end up like if they'd given that away, that would have been super demoralizing. But learning how to close games is just as important as tanking sometimes because these players are going to be the ones who are going to be trying to win a championship for our future. So they need to learn now in these like growing times how to close those games, how to have those clutch performances. And Shea ended up doing that, which I knew he could. He played with the best clutch player in the NBA last season, Chris Paul. And that's like a statistical thing. I'm not just claiming that. He was the best clutch player. Look it up. So I'm happy to see that he carried a little bit of that over, including some of that pull-up mid-range jumper prowess from Chris Paul, who also had a really good game last night. Shout out to Chris Paul. But overall, I was super pleased with how everything looked for the Thunder. Mark Daigneault had some good rotations. He had a good mix of young guys. Pokusevski struggled a lot on his birthday, but he'll be fine. Teo was able to play, but he also struggled. So they'll get it. There's going to be some learning pains, but winning that first game, especially in a close one, is huge for a team that's trying to learn how to be good in the near future. So loved it. Big fan of the Thunder's first game. Now I want to get into James Harden, who I think I'm going to title this video, "Your Team Should Want James Harden." I tweeted that yesterday too, because James Harden is crazy. I've known he's really good, but I feel like a lot of people forgot how good that James Harden actually is because of all the drama and stuff. He is ridiculous. Like, he's so good at the game of basketball, obviously. He's good at other things, but we won't talk about those things. He is kind of a head case at times, which might also just be because he wants out of his team, so he's not really caring. He's got to be more disciplined with the COVID stuff. I'm hoping he learned from his first mistake of going out to the event that he went to that got the Thunder game postponed. But if you watch him play basketball, dude is insane. One of the greatest scorers of all time. His step back is unguardable. He and CJ McCollum were trading buckets in overtime in the fourth quarter last night. CJ also had an amazing game. Shout out to him. And up until like the last play, Harden was incredibly clutch. On the last play, he did throw the ball away to Robert Covington, who got the game-winning steal, and the Rockets just didn't foul. They kind of just let it go, which I guess. But this Rockets team could be good if Harden decides to stay. So it's a conundrum because he could stay, but he clearly wants out. This team could be good if he stayed, but he doesn't want to. If you haven't watched his interviews, if you haven't seen what he's been doing, he wants to leave Houston. But they could be good. And I know a lot of fans of teams don't want him on their team, but he's so good. Like, if you take several of the teams, like, look how good this Nets team is. I know people are saying, like, don't mess with the Nets. If you put James Harden on that Nets team, I don't know how they'd lose basketball games. Like, they lose some depth, obviously, but imagine a team of, like, how good this Nets team is and you put James Harden on it. I don't care. People say there's one basketball. I'm in the camp that if you put James Harden on that Nets team, they're winning the finals. I don't care. No one else is going to challenge them. I don't like the Lakers. I love LeBron, big LeBron fan, big AD fan. Obviously, got Schroeder and stuff. One of my guys from the OKC Thunder last year. Does not matter. But Nets are winning the finals. I know there's one basketball. It does not matter. And then you've got teams like the Celtics, who I know you'd have to give up Jaylen Brown, a fun young guy. But imagine Kemba Walker, James Harden, like Jason Tatum. Put throw Tristan Thompson out there. They've been running Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice. You could throw that out there. That team's nuts. Like, you put Tatum, who's a good defender, next to Harden, who's honestly become an underrated defender. He's not great, but he's a solid defender, especially in the post. Losing Brown's going to hurt. I would assume they'd probably throw in like Marcus Smart or something. But if they can keep Marcus Smart too, and you run like Harden at like the 2, Smart at the 3, Tatum at the 4, that lineup's ridiculous. The Sixers, I know losing Ben Simmons would hurt, but James Harden, they're a little less of a team that might not want James Harden because I'm not sure if James Harden puts them over the hump or not. But James Harden looks so good on that team. You have like shooters like Seth Curry and Danny Green next to him. Joel Embiid is a solid shooter from the big man spot. Oh my God, the James Harden lobs too to Joel Embiid would be crazy, and to Dwight Howard, to get them back together, back under Daryl Morey. He's just so good. I think he's honestly gotten disrespected by a lot of NBA fans because of the antics he pulls and the bad teammate thing. I think he's just in a bad position right now. I don't want to believe he's a terrible teammate. I don't want to believe anyone's a terrible teammate. So that's still kind of up in the air. I'm not going to go all in on him because he's in a destination that he doesn't want to be at. So I feel like if he got to a place where he wants to play, like, some of these bad teammate narratives and some of this like drama surrounding him could die down a little bit, focus on basketball, and I still believe he could be the best player on a championship contending team because he's just that good. Obviously, your team might not want him if you're like my Thunder, who are rebuilding. So you might not want him because, like, if we trade for Harden, he's not going to win us a championship, and he's going to want to leave anyways. So I get that. But if you're one of these contending teams, you should want to add James Harden. He's just really good. So I just want to talk about him. He had like 41 and like 17 last night. He now is the leader in 40-point triple doubles over Shaquille O'Neal in the modern era ever since the merger. That's ridiculous. I don't even know how he does it. It's just he makes basketball look really effortless. So yeah, I would like the Harden disrespect kind of needs to chill out, at least from a basketball standpoint, because he's still very, very good. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Shout out to like the Atlanta Hawks too. They've been playing well. Domantas Sabonis deserves a shout out. Not a lot of people are talking about him. And with that, I think that's everything. If there's a topic you want me to talk about it, tweet at me at 3_Cone on Twitter. Tweet it at me. Let me know. And otherwise, you could leave something in the comments. Tell me some topics you want me to go over. I might do like a week recap thing at some point. So maybe look out for that. Leave some plays or like some storylines you want me to talk about. And I think that's everything. So I'll see you guys later. Everyone say.